Great. Welcome everyone. Welcome to this session of Power BI. This is going to be batch 6 and we are just starting today. Okay, I'll again deep dive into the details from the scratch. We'll just get into it. I'm not sure if you have attended the other 2 demo sessions that I've given just before this particular session. I don't know, but maybe we'll just get started from this session, and I'm going to start from scratch here. Okay, can I get a yes if you have already attended the demo session, at least one of the 2 demo sessions that I've given already? Let me know. And yeah, thank you for that. Okay, great. So yeah, let's just move on. I'm just going to share more details around certain things. And I would consider this as the very first session. You are going to be part of some more sessions that are going to be given to you for free. And based on how things are going, you should be able to understand whether this course is for you or not. If you have not already enrolled, I would really request you and would appreciate if you can just look into these first few sessions and then go and enroll for these courses. Okay, great. I just have a few things to go and discuss. So this is our website. I'm just going to ping you these links, and you can just go through the details here. You can just bookmark, keep it, and then understand what's there. I've already gone through these different the details in the demo sessions that we have had. You can always go through these topics and come back to me if you feel that anything needs to be added or anything needs to be removed. Just give us all those different details during our session, and I'll be able to happily take that up. Okay, our demo sessions should have been published to our YouTube channel, so just go ahead and check that out as well, please. So I'm just going to leave the link to everyone here as well. So this is our YouTube channel where every single video, most of the videos that we go and have gets posted here, and you should have seen some Power BI related stuff as well. So yeah, just go and check that out, and you should be able to see those other demo videos and other things. Have a look. This is the demo video, and you can just go through that. Okay, yeah, just try going through details here. That would be really helpful for you. But let's get started with today's session. Okay, now I'm going to start off with the very basic question, and I'm going to give you the mic permission now. I just want you to use this microphone only when you're talking. Otherwise, just please be, on mute. That's a humble request, and just not to disturb others. That's the only reason. All right, great. Now let me go and get started with the very first question, and I'm going to ask you a simple question. What is BI? What do you know about BI? What is your idea about BI? Just let me know. I'll just go through these details in a while. So Power BI has BI in it, right? So what do you know about BI? Let's discuss. I've given you the mic permission. You can start unmuting yourself and talk to me. Let me know. What is BI? Anyone? Don't be shy. I don't want to be the only speaker here. Yes, please.
BI is like a business intelligence. So
Mhm.
whatever the data we are using through data warehouse, the raw data which we use by the reporting tool for making any or for decision making using the Power BI tool or any other reporting tool. So that's called.
Great. That is a complete answer. I would take some of the words from that. Very good. Thank you for that. So yes, you are going to take the raw data. You're going to create some reports, charts, graphs, or any visual, which is going to help us take informed decisions. Okay. So there are 2 things to it. Let me just go to the next slide. I'll just show you what I mean. So what we are trying to do here is you may have your data in some sort of a format. We're going to take that and we are going to build visualizations out of it. We will go and build some sort of a report, dashboard, or something that can visually, convey some meaning to our audience. That's what we will do. So I call this as phase 1 of the process. Whatever we are looking at right now, this is going to be the phase 1 of the process. Okay. And then there is a phase 2 of the process here, which is all about sharing these reports with your users and then helping them take that informed decisions. So this is what would complete the business intelligence definition. And I want you to go with all of this. Okay. So it's all just not about taking the raw data and just coming up with visualizations or reports, charts, and graphs. No, it is not ending there. We have to share this report with our users so that they can take informed decisions. This is very, very important. So it's a kind of a two-part, puzzle, and we have to make sure that you're coming up with something, a report, dashboard, or some sort of a, visual representation of your data, which can speak and tell a story. And then we share that with our users to go and make informed decisions. Yes. So that's what is a business intelligence. I'm going to deep dive into these different details in some time, but let's just go and look at this definition one more time. So business intelligence or BI, what I'm saying here is it is the process of transforming the raw data. Very important. It's all about transforming your raw data into actionable insights. You're going to do this through analysis, visualizations, or reporting. But the main objective of all of this is to go and help our users take that business decision. Is that making sense? Yes. So we have our, raw data that is coming in. We'll take that, we'll process that, we'll go and make sure that it is given to the user in an understandable fashion. And what I mean by that is we'll go and have that created as a visualization or some sort of a report, and that's going to help them in making some business decisions. Okay. So that's the whole point, and that's what I would like you to understand about business intelligence. All right. Good. So just give me 1 second. Yeah, great. All right, I don't want any annotations here. I've just blocked it or disabled it. So yeah, don't try to write on my screen. Anyways, thanks. Okay, great. Now, let's talk about these simple blocks of information that you see on your screen right now. I'm just going to just break it down into smaller pieces of information, and we'll just go through all of this one by one. All right. Let's start off with data sources. Let's see and understand what is the data source all about. Okay. Now, I may have used this example prior in my demos, and I'm just going to continue that here. So let's say, for example, I take the case of Amazon. Yes, as an organization, as a company, how has Amazon grown? Let's go and look at it, and it can be any company for that matter. I'm just going to take Amazon as an example here. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, Amazon started its business, let's say, I don't know, maybe 1996 or somewhere close to that. It was just kind of, getting started then. When Amazon started, and I would like you to use the chat box or unmute yourself and talk to me, that would be really great. When Amazon started, do you think it had all the top-notch technologies that we have today or that it is offering today already built in their ecosystem? Was it starting off with that, full-fledged technology ecosystem? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Otherwise, yeah, the answer would be no. Yeah, they wouldn't really start off with everything best possible technologies right away. No, they would have started small. Yes. And if you go back to any of the company, let's go ahead and see whatever Elon Musk started, whatever Jeff Bezos did for Amazon, they would be just working from their garage or some sort of a basement and all of that. So they did not have the top-notch technologies. No one would have anything like that to get started. Yeah, so that is how it started. So let's say, for example, we have Amazon just using some files to store the data, and I'm going to say, hey, these are CSV files, and I'm using my mouse to write all of this, draw all of this. So there may be some bad handwriting coming up, so don't mind. Okay, or let's say they were all using Excel files. They would have started like that. Now, once they have so much data flowing in, so much transactions happening, and all of that, maybe they transitioned to something like a database. Okay, and they would have gone with some database. All right, so they could have done that. Okay, just give me 1 second. So they could have gone with a database here, right? So let's just come up with that. Let me see. Okay, hold on. Yeah, so they may have gone ahead and come up with a database kind of a thing, right? Good. I'm just drawing this, and it's very hard to draw with mouse, you know that. Okay, now then we have this top-notch technologies today where we are talking about clouds and other things, and this is what is going on with this technology today. So what do you think? As the company grew, as more and more revenue and other things, when they started being profitable, they started investing a lot of things in a lot of different places, right? Now, if you want to build a report, and if you want to say, I want to say, or maybe my boss wants to see, last few trends of profit, last few years of profit, if he wants to see a trend, and I want to go back like 20, 25 years, what should I do? I have to start gathering the data from all of these different places, and then I have to go and build a report based on that information. Yes or no? So that is why we will always go back a few, you know, different data sources. There can be different places from where we will be getting the data from. And all of that is very important because an organization may not have started and we may not have stayed the same way. They may have switched different data sources. They may be storing things in a different way today. They started sometime some way else and they are in some other ways today, right? So that can be there, and that's something that I want you to understand. So your data is not going to come from one place. Or let's say, for example, you have built an amazing report, you have given that to your user, and what your manager says is, hey, there is a mapping file coming in. There's a mapping file. Just go and add that to your report and then send it again. So it can be something else coming in which you have not used. Maybe you have used all the database stuff and you are just now going ahead and using another Excel file. So it can be any ways. I'm just giving you some kind of examples or reasons with which you may just want to understand that your data source may not just be the same. Okay, so if that is not the same, then yes, you may be connecting to a different file systems, you may be connecting to different databases or cloud-based environments and whatnot. So that your data source, and let's take every single organization today. Let's say Uber, Ola, Amazon, and all of these different organizations, though they are generating data every single minute, and as we speak, they're just still doing that, they may not be storing the data in the same way, right? So if you want to just go and get into their environment and then connect to some information, maybe they are using different types of data sets, databases, file systems, whatnot, and it depends on the organization. So yes, the data that you may be connecting will come from different places. That's one of the important things that you want to go and really look at. Is that clear? Yes. Now, how do we go and get that data? We want to go and store that data somewhere else, and then we want to go and work with that data, right? So I cannot just go and have different and multiple connections connected. We want to bring it together someplace else. And what happens is whenever you work with data, you will always go through a process called as ETL. All right. This is important because this is going to become the foundation for us to work on our tool. Okay. So this slide, I'm just not going through theory just like that because this is important. This is the foundation for us. Okay. So whenever you work with data, you're going to do something called as ETL. All right. It stands for extract, transform, and load. Yeah. So it stands for extract, transform, and load. And this is one of the processes. This is one of the inevitable processes that you go through when you work with data. Okay, this process is something that you cannot skip. All right, great. So let's understand and deep dive into this process of ETL. Let's understand what this is. All right, great. Let's move on. So extraction, you understand just by looking at the name or just kind of understanding with that particular terminology. Extraction is all about, you know, pulling the data and extracting the data or importing the data. You can go by any name, and all of that is what is an extraction. Okay, you're just trying to get the data. That's it. The loading part is also simple. You'll be loading that into some place, and that's what is called as a loading of data. You're pushing the data to someplace else. We'll talk more about where is it and how is it and all of that. Let's just go and deep dive into that later. But you're just pushing the data to someplace else, like a database or maybe some other tools like Power BI. It can go and store that. All of that can be done. So you understand extraction. It's all about pulling the data, importing the data, getting the data. That's what is all about extracting the data. And loading the data is all about storing the data someplace else in a simple place from where you can start using that for your reporting purposes. Okay. Now, these two activities are pretty simple. I mean, you just have to go and connect to your data source. You're pulling the data. You just have to let the tools know where are you pushing the data, where are you kind of, going to store the data further. So that's a pretty simple thing. You just have to kind of point it to the source. You have to point it to the destination. Pretty simple and pretty straightforward. But a lot of effort goes on in understanding and working with a lot of transformations. Okay. So transformations become one of the important aspects of working with your data. I'll give you some examples and we'll just go through this. And in Power BI as well, and the gender column only has zeros and ones. I may have done this in demo, but I just want you to, again, bear with me on this if I've already gone through this. This is for others who have just joined, maybe new to this. I'm just kind of taking them through all of this. Okay, so let's say, for example, there is I would say a population data set coming in and there is a gender column, and we would like to go and have this, gender column look at that. It's all zeros and ones. And what I do is I go to the next step. Let's say I want to visualize it and I create a chart of zeros and ones, and I say, hey, this is the count. This is the count for 0 and 1. I share that with my users. What are they going to do? What question is going to be coming back to me? They're going to be coming back and saying, hey, what's 0 and what's 1, right? They need the understanding and details more about what is that 0 and what is that 1, correct? So what we have to do here is we will have to go and add more meaning to our data set. And that's pretty much transformation. Okay. So if you go and have this called as male, this is your female kind of a thing, and you will have this as male and this is female. So what happens now? The data is much clearer. It is easy for us to understand and easy for the users to understand. So that's what we do. We are transforming the data. We are modifying this information. Transformation can be anything. Transformation can be all about, removing some unwanted columns, doing some derivations like this. Yes, we wanted to have some column and meaning added to this. Yes, that's a transformation. So adding more details, removing the unwanted details, all of these are going to be very important and pretty important. And that's what is called as transformations. Okay, good. So that's what we have. And that is important for you to go and note. Clear? So transformation can be anything and everything that you do with your data before loading that into some place. Yes. So you're extracting the data, but before you load that into some place, you're doing some transformation. You're just changing that data. You're modifying that information. It can be a file format which you may have. For example, let's say you have a file and that's not the entire data that you want to load. The data is just this much. Let's say, for example, and there is a table at the very center that I want to go and consider, and let's say there is some sort of a header, some sort of a footer. All of that is not something that I need. Yes or no? So the headers and footers are to be removed. I want to only take this data forward, and that's the way I want to do it. What is this? It's all about transforming your data. Okay, so like I said, transformation is all about I would say anything, any change that goes on into your data set that is coming in, that is being loaded into some place else. So just before you load the data, if you're making any change, that's called as a transformation. Simple as that. Okay. We'll talk more about transformation techniques in Power BI. We'll go through something called as Power Query Editor. Okay. If these names ring a bell, that's good. But otherwise, we'll see all of this in detail. Okay. Great. I hope you're now clear about the data sources. I hope you're clear about this ETL stuff. ETL is the process that is, like I said, an inevitable process that you have to go through for sure, no matter what, whenever you're working with data. Okay, let's say you're working with Excel. Copy pasting that itself is an ETL. Okay, kind of a thing, because you're just copied it from somewhere else, you have pasted it here, which means what? You have extracted your data from somewhere else, you have loaded that into Excel. It's pretty much like the ETL. Maybe you're not going through some transformations, or maybe you'll add more columns, derive a lot of details, but that's an ETL process that goes on. So whenever you work with data, it's all going to be ETL stuff. There are dedicated tools for that, but Power BI can also perform some sort of a ETL stuff, and we'll understand as we progress. Okay. Any questions here? I'll just want to take a minute or so. Just want to understand if there is any questions here. Let me know, anyone. Okay, great. If no questions, I'll move on. You can very well and freely use chat box. I have an eye on the chat box on my other screen. I'll be looking into that now and then. I'll get the answers for you for your questions as soon as possible. Okay, so don't worry. Just put those questions in the chat box, or feel free to stop me and ask those questions. Okay, great. Let's move on. Let's talk about data warehouse. Okay, so why is data warehouse in this picture? Now, what happens is, let's say Power BI is more of a visualization tool. All right. And what I don't want to just call it is, it's just not a visualization tool. It can go and connect to a variety of different data sources. It can do a lot of ETL stuff. It actually has a storage. Okay. So it can go and store the data. Just gonna write it in short, something like that. Okay. So it can really have some sort of a storage mechanism that is there behind the scenes. It can use that and it can give you something. But the reason I have data warehouse in the picture is because there are going to be some terminologies, and there are going to be some, like I said, foundational aspects of working with your data. All of these concepts will come from data warehouse. That's the main reason why I would like you to have, or I'm just having this data warehouse in the picture. Okay. So there are terms, and probably if you're coming from the ETL background and other things, or if you've worked on building a data warehouse, I would say there is something called as dimensions. Yes, these are terminologies from data warehouse. There is something called as measures. There are going to be something called as dimensional modeling. Okay, you may have heard of something called as data modeling. These are all terminologies coming from, you know, the data warehouse concepts, or maybe a database concept to a pretty, very basic level. So these terminologies are important. That is the first thing that you want to know, because this is what is going to play a vital role when you get into Power BI. Okay, these concepts will come into play. We need to understand what this is. And if the tool, let's say for example, Power BI is not treating something as a dimension, I'll go ahead and explain you what this is. Then you have to pitch in. You'll have to be like being a developer, you have to be smarter than the tool, and you have to pitch in and say, hey, no, that's a dimension, I want to convert that into a dimension, or keep that as a dimension. Or maybe something, the tool is not considering something as a measure. You'll have to go and pitch in and say, this is not right, I want to make it right. So for that, you need to understand all of this, and we'll take deep dives into this and understand all of this step by step. I don't want to push everything to you right away, right now. We'll just go take those details step by step. Okay. So there is going to be data modeling coming into play, let's say 5, 6 sessions after this. I'll probably go and talk about the data set, and I'll talk about dimensions and measures today. Let's see. And these are very important concepts before we jump into the tool itself, connect and work with data. Okay, that is important. Good. So that is why the data warehouse is there in the picture. The second main reason why I have data warehouse and just not database or any other ways of looking at it is because a lot of times you may be connecting to some things. It may be databases. Yes, it can be just simple tables coming in from a database, or it can be a data warehouse. So what your team would have done already in your organization, and you can call them as data engineering team, you can call them as ETL team, whatever that is. They should have already identified the sources. They should have already done the heavy lifting of doing the ETL part, and they have loaded all of that into data warehouse. Clear? Yes. So they have done this part already. They have connected to the data sources. They've gone ahead and done the heavy lifting of that ETL stuff. It's a big deal. Okay. It's not an easy project. I worked on a data warehouse project that went up to 9 years. The minimum is 5 years. You need those much time, that much amount of time to go and build a data warehouse. Okay. 5 years, 9 years, that's the project timeline for a data warehouse to be built. You have to identify a lot of sources. You have to go and work on all of that, bring all of that data, push it into one place. And that's called as a data warehouse. It has a different name. It's also called as a single source of truth. So instead of going ahead and getting your data from so many different data sources, you'll just go ahead and get into one data warehouse and you look at all of that, right? So people would have already gone ahead and loaded all of this data into the data warehouse. And what you may be doing is just connecting to that data warehouse from Power BI, and you may be just building those reports, graph charts, and visuals, and then sharing that with your users. So there are two ways of looking at it. One is because we are going to talk about a lot of concepts from data warehouse, which becomes the foundation for working with our tool. Second, it's going to be, one of the databases or one of the data warehouses that people may have already loaded. Your team may have already loaded, and you are already, kind of going to connect to this data warehouse, and it's a ready-made, pre-made data set for you. You just consume it and you just share those report charts, graphs, and visuals to your user. Simple as that. Okay, that's how I want you to look at it, and this is what I want you to know. Got it? Yeah, we'll talk more about this concept that's coming up. We'll just move on. All right. Okay, visualization. I want you to understand something now. Power BI is a data visualization tool. It's a BI tool. So whenever I say BI, what is it all about? Transforming raw data into meaningful insights and doing this business decision. Yes, that's the whole point. So Power BI is going to be, I'm just going to draw a few things here. Just hold on. I'm going to again, kind of create those different blocks. Power BI can connect to different data sources. It can do that. Power BI can go and do the ETL stuff. Power BI can store the data, manage the data, process the data in a different way. We'll get to that in a while. I may have touched on it in my demos, but like I said, I'm starting from scratch. I don't want to just give you or assume anything that you know everything. We'll just go and talk more about it later. But yes, Power BI can store the data and process the data. We'll talk about that as well later. And Power BI can do some visualization stuff. Okay, it's good with visualizations. It can do amazing dashboarding, reporting, and all of that. We'll just talk more about that later. And finally, it can share and collaborate with users, and the users will come and kind of look at the reports. They will just consume all those reports. That's all fine. So it gets a check mark or tick in every single thing that I have on my screen right now. So no matter if it is connecting to data sources, doing some ETL stuff, some data warehouse, or kind of a concept, or maybe storage mechanism we are talking about, visualizations, blah, blah, blah. It's all going to cover every single aspect of it. It's a very powerful tool, and it's a very powerful BI tool. It's the leader in the market right now. Microsoft leads this particular space with Power BI, and all the other tools that have been there for more than 2 decades, 3 decades have been pushed down, and I'll show you those different details in some time. So yeah, we'll just go and understand that later, but that's how we are looking at this tool. Now, the important thing that I want you to understand here is look at where visualization is. Where is visualization? Visualization, I would say, is almost the last step in this particular process. So sharing this report is not a big deal. It's a pretty simple task. But visualization, I would say, it's the last thing to worry about in this entire process. Yes. So what I've seen from different people is that, and I've just gone ahead and attended so many trainings on Power BI as well. So I see that people are very much interested to get their hands dirty with visualizations right away. So they connect to the data and they want to visualize. They want to start off. No, that doesn't work that way. What happens is, and we will go through the step by step, we'll go through a lot of details, and I'll give you a lot of scenarios, a lot of files, and a lot of assignments, hands-on coming your way. All of that is there. So what you'll understand is the data is never clean. Okay. So remember, the data is never clean. So this is important. And you need to go and first of all identify the data sources. You need to go and work a lot on transformation, especially like I said, do the ETL stuff, but transformation is important. And then we'll have to understand how it is getting stored. And then comes the visualization phase. Okay. Have you guys heard of DAX? You're looking at that as a monster. Yes. DAX. Everyone is scared of DAX. So you'll have to do all of that. I've talked about data modeling, right? So I just mentioned data modeling. So these are all different things that you have to do before you can jump into the visualization phase. So like I said, if your gender column has zeros and ones, and you want to project that 0 and 1 here, it doesn't really matter how much how soon you want to get to this visualization phase. It is not going to be worth it, because you'll have to always come back, you'll have to add more meaning to this, and then change that particular thing back in your visualization. So please don't touch the visualization. Just like how you see this, visualization is the last thing that you want to worry about in this entire in this entire process. I hope you're getting all of this right. So I'll not be touching visualization until, I would say, what I'll give you more choices as we progress. We'll look at DAX, we'll look at data modeling, we'll look at all the cleansing and other activities, and then we will finally get into the visualization phase. That's how I would go and do it. Okay. So yeah, just don't ask for visualizations right away. I will show you one or two visualizations. It may or may not make sense, but we'll talk more about it later. But remember, this is going to be one of the easiest and one of the simplest steps that you'll go and go work on. If your data is all clean, if your data is all set, visualization is a piece of cake. Okay. So yeah, we'll just go and talk about that later, but that's how this is all set up. Okay, great. All right, my team is asking for your number and your WhatsApp details and all other things, name and number. Just give them that, and that would really help them to add you to a group through which we can communicate, or they'll get back to you in order to understand whether you want to continue this or not, and a lot of other things. So just help them with that, and I'll just go proceed with this detail here. Okay, yeah, just parallelly, just give your and leave your name and number, and we'll just reach back to you and understand how this is all working. Okay, good. Let's move on. So finally, after you're done with all of this, like I said, you just have to go and share that with your users. And it's all about the kind of publishing activity and hosting it for your users once you have built your report. That's again a simple task, nothing complex there. So yeah, we'll talk more about it later, but that's the whole process. Okay. It may seem like smaller blocks of information, but this is going to be vast and in-depth, details and kind of management is all required. So we'll deep dive into these things and get into this. Great. Okay, I'm going to ask you one question, and we'll talk, or we'll take that later, but I'm just going to ask you one question. And those who have attended the demo would know this already, but I'll go through that later as well. That's one other thing that we want to understand. Okay. Okay, I'll leave that for later. Let's ignore that. Okay. Great. So let's start off with this understanding of how to install Power BI. Okay, I saw someone unmute. Yes, please. If there is any questions, do let me know. I'll take a pause again. Let's see. Any questions here, anyone?
Ambrish, I'm having a
Yes.
question. Shravani
Mhm.
here.
Yes, please.
So, as a BA, are we going to work? I mean, are we going to transform the data because that is a work as of a data engineer, right? They are going to
Mhm.
transform the. They are going to clean the data. As a BA, are we going to work only from data warehouse to visualization and sharing the reports to business owners?
Yeah, that is one scenario. So what you may have is you may have the data already loaded here. So like I said, all the heavy lifting of doing the transformation and other things is already done, and that has been loaded here. So you just have to use that data from the data warehouse or database maybe, and then start visualizing the data and then share it with your user. So one step starts here. Okay, this is one half of it. The other half is, let's say someone has not done this for you. So let's say the data warehouse was not built and you don't have anything. So you'll have to identify the data source. You'll have to go through this transformation phase, ETL stuff, and then we will jump right into this. I'll say why am I skipping this later, but this is what we want to understand, and then we'll start visualizing it. So If the data warehouse or the data engineering team does not exist in your team, then yeah, we have to go and do this heavy lifting of doing the ETL stuff. But it's not going to be too much difficult. There may be some transformations. You'll have to think how the file and the data is coming, what sort of, transformations you want to apply just to cleanse the data. It's not a big activity. I'll not be spending, most of my time here. It's hardly just, 1 to 2% of my entire time that I'll be spending on my, ETL activity. And then I'll just jump into the visualization phase. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, understood, Ambush.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions, anyone? All right, great. Just a gentle reminder again. Yes,
Hi,
please.
Amber.
Yes, Harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how much SQL is required for Power BI?
Okay,
Like high
SQL.
level of knowledge or
Right. So what I would suggest is, see, the SQL requirement here is not about, on a level like a database administrator. Let's say database administrator needs to go and work on creating the tables, dropping the table, working on store procedure, maintaining and managing the databases, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to know all of this. You have to just know, let's say, for example, in the source, there is let's say record count. Okay, you're just looking at the record count of your source and destination. What is our source? This is our source. This is our destination, the Power BI file. Okay, so let's say here we have about 1 million rows, and you want to go and you are getting some 1 million rows here as well. But what you need to do is you need to go back and you need to check in the data source whether it is 1 million or not. Correct. So just a select query, and if you understand those select queries and other things, just a select query would do, and that's the only knowledge that you need from the Power BI standpoint. Okay, some queries with which you can go and get the data, select queries, joins, and I would say some where clauses, group by, all of that is part of all of that. So just that part is more than enough. You're not going to do any updates, deletion, or insertion in the tables. You're not going to create any tables. So all of those aspects are not really required. Just a validation. And if you can build a query that can help you to validate the count on your source system, or maybe select query to pull the data into your reporting environment using the same select query, should be more than enough. So I would say select query, thorough knowledge, and mastering the select query is more than enough. You're not going to do anything apart from that. So and most of the time that is also being done by a lot of other SQL people. So they will build views, they will build store procedures, they'll go and give you all of that ready made available. You just have to consume it in Power BI. So that's all we need. But yes, eventually, if you're not really into SQL and all of that, I will just ask you to go and please learn that, the basics of it, and that's more than enough. Okay, so you're not going to deep dive into those things. Yeah, that's it. So select query, validations, querying and building and getting the data into Power BI. Those are the aspects from which you'll be working on this one here. Yes.
okay, thank you.
Right. Great. Anything else, anyone?
Ambrish,
Yes,
Shravani
please.
again.
Yeah.
So, do we need Excel knowledge?
Yeah, Excel is going to be really helpful because the formulas that you write in Excel, that's what we do in DAX. Okay, so that's kind of a DAX, knowledge that you need to have. So Excel's formula knowledge is what you go and convert it into DAX knowledge. So that is important. If you don't know Excel also, that is okay. If you know very basic Excel, very basic formulas, that's fine. We'll look at some DAX ways of working. DAX is different again. We'll have to approach it in a different way. So we'll talk more about it later, but that knowledge would really come handy. So yes, a little bit of DAX, a little bit of formulas and Excel knowledge should really help. Yeah, not more. I mean, you don't have to be a master in Excel. It's just a simple formula language, and you just have to continue that here with DAX. That's it. Yeah.
I mean, do we have a knowledge on VLOOKUP?
Yeah,
Lookup
there
table?
are no exact formulas coming in. We have similar formulas and functions. It's not the same formula, so you have to adopt to how Power BI works. So we'll have to go and do that way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And one more thing, SQL or SQL knowledge is not that important. You can learn Power BI individually. This is a simple drag and drop report builder. I don't want to simplify or oversimplify it, but I would say this can be individually learned. But if you have those knowledge of, working with queries in SQL, working with some formulas in Excel, those are really going to come in handy, and you can just kind of, use that knowledge and understand a lot of things very easily, quickly. That's the whole point. Okay. So that's where that knowledge would come in. Yeah. Good questions. I like that. I want these questions to come up now and then, and that really appreciate. I mean, that kind of motivates me to go and talk more. Good. Anything else before I move on? I'm just going to come out of this slide. That's the only slide that I wanted to cover today. Any questions, anyone? Okay, great. I'm just going to go come out of this. Okay, just give me a minute. All right, great. I want to start off with, how you would install Power BI. Okay, let's just talk about that. How will you install Power BI? It's a simple process. If you have not already installed it, I'm just going to tell you this, and then we'll move on to the next steps. And yes, you can do this. It's a free software. You don't really have to go and really pay for this software. This is free version. It's available for free for the entire lifetime. And the only part where Microsoft charges you is when you want to share this with someone else. And for sharing, you'll have to publish this to a server, online server. We call it as Power BI service. That's the last thing that we will go and talk about. So you have to publish it there. So the publishing activity and the server side of it is where the costing is all off. The charges and subscription fees is all applied. But the desktop version is all free. So let me just go take you through this. And I'll show you two different ways of getting this installed. You can try the any method, but I would say the first method that I'll go through would be pretty easy and simple. Okay, so I hope everyone has Windows machine, Windows laptop, the Windows OS. If you're on a Mac, you'll have to find an alternative because this software works only for Windows. Okay. And if you're on Windows 11, Windows 10, any other version is already taken out. Okay, that's all kind of obsolete. So you can't really install it on any other version. I hope you're not working on those old age, Stone Age, OS like Windows 7, Windows 8. It's all gone. Microsoft Power BI is not supported for all of these operating systems. So I think you're on our latest version, Windows 10, Windows 11 Max. Let's see. Okay, so in this operating system, Windows operating system, you'll have a simple software, and that's called as a Microsoft Store. Okay, you have an application here that's called as Microsoft Store. Just log into this, search for this in your Windows laptop, and you should find it. So I'm just going to get into this, and all you have to do is just search for Power BI and get that installed. Simple process, simple steps. Let's go and search for Power BI. I just want you to look for Power BI desktop. That's where we'll be working all the time, 99% of the time. And it's a free software. Okay, you don't have to pay a penny. And you don't have to go with anything else. Okay, report builder and all of that. I may have installed it just for some other reason, but you don't have to look for anything else. Just look for Power BI desktop and get that installed. Okay. So initially when you're going in, maybe that blue button will say install or get it now, something like that. Just click on it, install it, and you're done. Okay. Hardly takes a few minutes and it's done. The best thing about this installation process is that this particular tool, Power BI desktop, gets updated or gets an update or upgrade every single month. Okay. So every single month, there are 10, 20, 30 features getting added. And you don't want to go and install this again and again. You may have worked with a lot of softwares which asks you that, hey, there is a new version out. Do you want to install it? And you have to go through the installation process all over again, right? So here you don't have to do that because this store, the Microsoft Store, is going to push all these updates to your software automatically. And that's why I say that this is the best way to install your software. So let's say there is a May version or June version of this software. It should be automatically installed when I open Power BI next time. It should be already upgraded and updated. So that's the best part of it. And that's how I want you to look at it. So just get this installed this way. And I hope everyone has Windows machine and you just have to get that done in that particular way. Okay. There's one more way of doing it. You can just go and search for, Power BI desktop version download, whatever that is. Just search for that. There is an official site from where you can download it. I'll give you all these links. At the end of the session, I'll give you and share every link and everything that I go through. All of that will be uploaded to the LMS portal for you. You guys, all of the participants will have a learners management system kind of a setup. So you can just go and have all the recorded session, the materials that I share, and everything will be available to you. So our team will push all of that, and you can have session wise details that I've gone ahead and shared. Okay. So I'll get that done and I'll share that with you. But this is the link. I'm just going to post that in the chat box as well. Let's see. We'll just go with that. Okay. Yeah, just give me 1 second. Okay, done. Okay, so here the only advantage that you get here, except this, the Power BI desktop that we installed using the Microsoft Store, the default language with which this Power BI desktop gets installed is English. But if you are, or let's say there are other users who are probably, these are Chinese users, or they are like German and other French users, different other countries use their own languages and they are very much interested in having the software in their languages. So we can go do that. You also have it in Hindi. So just go ahead and download it and install it in that way if you really want it. This can be always changed, but I would say if you really have a preference of a language, this is the best way to do it. And that's going to be updated automatically as well as you progress. But this is going to be a default, download and install setup. You don't have to go through that. We just go and check that out. Okay. Like I said, the system requirements here is going to be all of this. Look at that. There is no Windows, old operating systems coming in, either Windows Server or Windows 10 and 11, and that's all that is being supported for this software. This is not built for Mac users. So if you're using an Apple or a Mac laptop, just go and make sure that you have something else. There are different ways of doing it. There are softwares like Parallels. There are also cheap software or free softwares with which you can go and get the same, kind of Windows operating system run on your machine, the Apple machine. You can do that. Or the other ways I would think of it is cloud-based free softwares, the virtual machines you can procure. Every cloud vendor today, Google Cloud or Azure and AWS, they offer you a free tier for the entire year. Okay, you can go with that. Just install a virtual machine, and then that would be on Windows, and then start playing around with that. So that's the entire year is all free. You can still continue with that for so many years. You can do that. These are different options. You can just try that out. If you really need something, some other assistance, just reach out to me. I'll help you with all of that. Okay, great. Good. Let's move on. I hope that is clear. So either install it through Microsoft Store or through this website. Okay, the official link. Good. Let's move on. Okay. Let's talk about the data set. I'm not jumping into the tool again right away. We want to understand the data set. We'll just go through this first of all, and then we will go and talk more about how to get the data into Power BI. Okay. I'll go and share, like I said, all of these files after the session is all done, but I'm just going to get into my folder here and I'm just going to look for one file that's called as a sample superstore file. Okay. This is a sample superstores file that comes from another vendor of a competitor of Microsoft. So it's from Tableau, and you can just search for that online. You can also get it there. There are some things like let's say, for example, just go and search for sample superstore. You will get it, but like I said, I'll give you that. Okay, don't worry, we'll just do that. So have a look. So this is from Tableau, and you'll just get that based on that, or you can also download it from Kaggle, some other sites where this is all hosted. This is all good. There is one more called as Global Superstore. Okay, there is one more called as Global Superstore. Just go and search for that as well. You'll have more data to go and work with. Global Superstore will be for the data for the entire world. Okay, different countries, different things. You can go and do that. Otherwise, sample superstore is just for US, and that is how it's all set up. Okay, good. I'm going to use this one, the sample superstores data set. This is a rich data set, and I can go and show you every scenario, everything that we want to go and talk about, I can go and show you with this data set. I'll be using this pretty much. I will also use some other data sets from the databases and other things that I connect with. But for now, we'll just go and understand how this is all set up. Okay, great. So I want you to just look at it, and I don't want to go with too much of data or details here. But remember, I just want to touch base on one thing and few concepts that we want to know before I can jump into the tool and go through these details. Whenever you're working with data, all right, please do understand, this is very important. I want you to have a thorough understanding of data. Okay, this is very important. If you don't understand your data, if you really don't know what's happening, then there is no point in working with your tools like Power BI. You won't be able to bring out those insights that are required if you don't understand the data. And you will not be able to understand what your client is talking about. He may be saying, hey, there is this state and I want to understand what is the different profit by different states, something like that. Very simple ask, but you'll be kind of blinking on what's going on, what's happening, what is the request, and so on and so forth. So understanding your data is very important. Making sense? Yes. You should have this at the fingertips, and you need to be aware of what columns you have in the table, what tables are you connecting, where is certain information lying, and how to get to that, right? What table it is, what column it is, what are the information inside it. All of this is very important. So you'll understand this point as you progress and as you work with your environment. But remember, understanding the data is important. Okay, I'm just going to take a while, and this is very important to go and make sure that you understand your data. I'm just going to take a while to give you some examples, and we'll just move on from there. Okay, this is, like I said, very important step. So I've seen people, and I've worked with a lot of people. My own colleague got fired because of, you know, he was not really, he was careless. He did not really get into these details. He just thought he can do and work with all of this, but he got fired in some time, a few months of joining the organization. And I'm not scaring you, but I'm just trying to tell you the fact that data and understanding the data becomes one of the important and key things that you need to have and do before you can even take it into some other tools like Power BI. Okay, so what do you have in hand becomes very important. All right. And what I usually do is, and you don't have to really stress too much. You don't have to go and sweat too much. What you have to do is you just have to understand the data by relating it with something that you already know. Okay. I'll give you an example. So this is called as a sample superstores data set. Okay. So this is a sample superstores data set. Now that's a good thing. If I go towards the right hand side, this is all about sales data. Okay. Nothing complex. It's sales data set. All right. Good. Now, how can I make it more meaningful? How can I understand this data? That's where the key thing, key, you know, your intelligence comes into play, and you need to go and understand this data. So how can you do this? Okay. Now, this is just not sales data. I don't want to just generalize it into some sales data. I want to be very specific and how this business runs, and I want to understand what is going on here. What's there in different sheets here? What are these different information that we have here? Let's go and understand this, and this is very important. Okay, if you don't really understand this, it's going to be, like I said, I mean, you won't be able to bring those insights out. You will have no clue what you're doing. It will be all blank. It will be all dark. We can't go and work with anything of that sort. Okay, good. Let me just give you a simple way of getting this data understood in a very simple terms, very easy ways. So this is called as a superstore. All right. Let's go ahead and say this is Amazon's superstore. Right. We'll just give it a name, Amazon. And what happens with Amazon? You don't have to really understand the Amazon's business by getting into their environment or getting into the company. If you know from a customer standpoint, you will understand any business. Yes or no? So let's say what happens with Amazon. You have an app, Amazon app on your phone, and you also have a website. You go to any one of these places, you look for the product that you want to buy. You will go and scan through a lot of different products and reviews and all of that. You selected a product, you add that to the cart. and you check it out. That's it. Got it? So that is all that you have to do. Now, what happens behind the scenes? Amazon is going to get that particular order, and it's going to go and package it, ship it, and deliver it. Simple. Yes. So from that perspective, let's go and understand what's going on. So when a customer places an order, it's going to be an order coming in, right? So the customer is purchasing something. That's a different thing from his perspective. For a business, it's nothing but an order coming in. Got it? And there is a date on which the order was placed, and there's going to be a date on which the order is going to be shipped. The order is being purchased by certain customers, right? Yes or no? And looking at from Amazon standpoint, there is certain delivery modes available. Yes, when you go to the last step, the checking mode, checkout one, what goes on? It's going to tell you, hey, when do you want to get this product? 1 day delivery, 2 day delivery, prime delivery. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Flipkart. I work and always buy things from Amazon. So Flipkart may have something like that. You may have noticed it. Yes. So we have those different delivery modes, and we have the same sort of delivery modes here. It can be different for your business, but it is all relatable. That's what I want you to understand. So look at it from a customer standpoint. What do you do? And how do you go and get to this information? What do you understand with the data that you have in hand? All of that becomes very, very important. Yeah. Let's say I'm working on an insurance domain. Yeah. I'm going to give you two examples. Let's say I'm working on an insurance domain and I don't have to go understand the nitty-gritties of the insurance domain. Have I ever purchased a product? Yes. Have I ever gone through these terminologies like what's a premium? What is the some sort of jargon that goes around those insurance policy that you get delivered, right? Sum assured, the nominee, some sort of details like that. Yes, everything around that is more than enough. And when you get into the details of just getting through those data set, it becomes much clearer. Okay, what is this? What is that? It's going to be the nominee details. It's going to be the sum insured, sum assured, or whatever that is, right? So all of that is going to be coming up that way. That's one example that I gave you. Let's talk about one more. Let's say, for example, I'm working for a shipping domain. Yes, containers are moved from one place to another. Do I really have to go and understand the export and import businesses? Do I really have to go through the jargons of those nitty-gritty details? I don't have to go through all of that. Have you ever sent a package, a courier from one place to another? Or have you ever tracked the package from Amazon, how it gets done? Yes, there will be hubs. The scanners are going to scan things as the package moves through these different hubs. They're going to be recorded. They're going to be in front of you on your system. That's what happens with the shipping domain, right? You don't have to really go into too much of detail. I'm trying to tell you all of this because this becomes very important. Okay. And if you understand the data, you will be able to go and come up with a lot of scenarios. You'll be able to go and apply that on a lot of different ways. That's the whole point here. Okay, good. Let's move on. So this has so much of information. So all of this is very important. We have some country, city, state, postal code, blah, blah, blah coming in. And then there is this real product name and other details that are available. Okay, this is what we have. I'll go ahead and use that in a different way, but I hope you get the essence of this data, right? It's more like that Amazon's data set, and you can just very well relate it based on that, right? Good. Now we have three sheets here. Look at that: orders, people, and returns. Yes. Like I said, if you relate things, it becomes much easier to understand. In an e-commerce business, is returns avoidable or unavoidable? Yeah. Returns are unavoidable. Yes or no? It happens all the time. No matter how good the product is. Let's say nothing is bad with this product, but there is something that I want to go and return. Yes, the return can happen just for that. No reasons, damaged goods. That product was sent. I asked for a different product. I purchased a different product. I got a different product. It can happen. Okay. For all of these reasons, there are returns, and returns are inevitable. And that's what is being captured in this table. Let's say, for example, okay, there is a table called as a returns table. And there is a sheet here in this Excel sheet. And this is going to capture all the returned orders. Let's go ahead and add a filter. And you'll see that this just captures the returned order and not the every single order that we have in our business, right? So if you look at this entire count is just 300 almost. Okay. And in the orders table, you may have close to 10,000 odd products that you have sold already. So out of 10,000, there are 300 returns. So that's pretty much relatable as well. And you can go and relate that to Amazon's business. Yes. So understand it from that perspective. It becomes easier for you to go and understand your data. A lot of that goes on that way. And yeah, from a customer standpoint, if you can just look at it, you will understand the business completely. You don't have to go into the details of the ways of working of the organization, no, or the business. Just look at it from that customer standpoint, and that should be all clear to you. Good. Great. So finally, we have this people sheet, and I'm just going to go through all of this because we will be using this a lot for a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different things. We have a good, nice, rich data set with us, and that's what I'm talking about. Okay, great. So this is what we have. Okay, region and managers is again some information that we have. We call this as a people sheet or people table, I can call it when I take it into Power BI. So if you look at your data, you have something called as region as a column. Okay, the orders table has region as a column. And who's managing South? If you want to understand it, you'll have to go to people table. You'll have to look up this information. You get to know that, hey, it's Cassandra Brandau who's managing the Southern region. Yes, you need those mapping to be done. You need those joins to be done during the later half of your, you know, um, Power BI thing. So we'll just go and talk more about that later. So like I said, it's a good data set, rich data set, though it may be just 10,000 odd records. If you feel that it's very less, go for Global Superstore. We can just try that out. Just search for that, download it and use it. Otherwise, I'm just going to use this data set. Okay, great. Now let's talk about two very important terminologies, or I would rather say these are two definitions, very important definitions. And with that knowledge, we'll take this data into Power BI. Okay, we'll just do this. All right, good. Now, let's say I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Let's just do this. Have a look. This is your raw data. Can I say that? This is the raw data that we were talking about. Okay, so this is your data set. I know you're not able to see anything, but that's fine. In the entire data set or entire data that you are going to bring in into Power BI, you will have just two different kinds of information in this particular data set. Is this making sense? In your entire data set, you just have two kinds of information. We'll go and define that in a while. And these are the only two things that you have to worry about. Okay. And your tools like Power BI, have you heard of the term called Tableau tool? Yes, Tableau. Click View, Click Sense. There are other vendors out there, but every single tool out there is going to just do this in two different ways. So there is something called as dimensions that are there in your data set, and there is something called as measures in your data set. Okay, so in the entire table or any data that you're going to bring in into these tools, data visualization tools or BI tools, there are two kinds of information. What is it? Either they are dimensions or they are called measures. Clear? This is what I want you to understand. And what are these definitions? That's what we'll get to in a while. But I hope you're getting this, right? Dimensions or measures. This is what you have in your entire data set. Okay, let's define them and we'll take this forward and we'll see what comes up in Power BI when you go and work with Power BI or when you take this data set into that. Okay, great. Let's start off with the definition of a dimension. Okay, I'm just going to type something. I'm just going to write something here. Let's just do this. Okay, great. Let's understand what is a dimension. Okay, and I'm not a guy who goes with definitions after definitions. I go by what I understand. Okay, what do I understand by dimensions? I want to go and just convey the meaning of a dimension to you. You can research backend, you can go through all those definitions, blogs, videos, whatnot, and understand how you want to present it. But the understanding is what is also required in the interviews. So if you're just starting this, Power BI course, you're a fresher or you're an experienced person attending an interview, what goes on in the interview is what knowledge you have. That's more than enough. I don't go by bookish definitions. I just tell you what are these things and how to identify them. That's it. That's the knowledge that you need to have. You don't have to go and do a lot of reading by hearting and then, kind of regenerating all of that in the interview. Okay. Yeah. Let's go with simple tactics, understand things in a very layman's term. That's what I would do, and go with that. Okay. Let's define dimension from your data set. Dimensions are nothing but, in a very simple term, anything descriptive in data set, in your data set. What is it? Let's look at customer name, look at segment, look at country, city. Let's look at order ID. Okay. What do you see? What is a common pattern here? These are all descriptive field. In other words, these are all of text in nature. Yes, can I say that they are all of text data type, right? These are all text data type. Good. And this is how it is. Alpha numerical value will finally be treated as text. Okay. It's not going to be treated as any other number or any of those different details. So this is going to be treated as text. So hence, what I'm saying here is this is all going to be dimensions. Okay. Dimensions are descriptive fields. Dimensions are text or string fields that you have. And in other words, it's going to be more of a categorical field with which you can classify some data. So anything descriptive, anything of text in nature, just blindly say that it's dimension. Okay. Right. So let's go and look at what are all the dimensions. Like I said, order ID looks like a good, nice dimension because it's alphanumerical value. Finally, it's going to be treated as text. The shipping mode, customer ID, again, alphanumerical value treated as text. Customer name, segment, country, city, all of these, and anything that you see in a text format, it's all dimension. Look at that. Everything that I'm highlighting is all dimension to you. Okay, in your data set, this is what is called as dimensions. Got it? In a very simple, very layman's term. You don't have to really go by any definition. All right, good. Now, what you'll have to do is you'll have to see whether your tools are going with this kind of understanding. A lot of tools can go wrong in a lot of different cases. We'll have to say, hey, you're doing wrong here. We're just going to convert this into, let's say, dimensions are put into measures category, measures are put into dimension category. You just have to change that. Or maybe you'll have to control certain things here and there. And that's what I'm talking about. So dimensions are some categorical fields in your data set. These can be used to classify your data. Okay, classify your data. And these are mostly string fields or text fields that you have. And that's how all I want you to do or look at. These are all descriptive in nature. Okay, these are all some things that I want you to just go ahead and understand. And anything that goes with this kind of the definition, it's all dimensions for you. Okay, clear? Good. Let's move on. And if you have any questions, I would say just stop me anywhere and ask those questions or put that in the chat box. I'll take it up. Okay. Let me just move on. Let's say, for example, we have something called as measures, right? So we'll have measures, like I said. Now, measures, I'm going to go give you two rules. Okay. We'll go by two rules. And what should happen is both of these rules are to be satisfied. Okay, I can show you and I can tell you that, hey, this is a measure, but I'm going to do it in a different way. I'm going to give you two simple rules or steps. You have to apply these two rules. They are called as rules because it has to be followed. Okay, so you have to go and apply these two rules on your data set and you will get an answer. Yes, both of them are satisfied, right? So rule 1 and rule 2 is all satisfied. If both of these rules are satisfied, you're going to call that as a measure. If one of the rule fails, and mostly it's going to be the second rule that will fail, I'll tell you how that works and you'll understand this in a while. So when second rule fails or one of these rules fail, you cannot call that as a measure. What does that? It is always going to be called as a dimension. Okay. There are only two things in your data set. What is it? Dimensions and measures. Yes. If you don't call or if you cannot classify a particular field or a column as a measure, I want you to understand that it can only be a dimension. Got it? So like I said, you are going to go by a few rules and the second rule will always fail. If this rule fails, you cannot call this as a measure. You'll have to call this as a dimension. Is that making sense? What is the two rules? We'll get to that, but this is what I want you to understand. Okay, good. All right, let's look at a column and we'll just slowly build these rules on top of it. Let's understand it. Look at this column, sales column. Look at quantity, look at profit, look at discount, these four columns. Let's go with sales. So sales, how does this look like? What does this column look like? It's a number or a decimal or such numerical field is what I'm looking at, right? So all of these four fields are more of a numerical field. So if you're looking at a numerical field, yes, that is a possible candidate for a measure, but I'm not going to term it as measure right away because we need to go and say whether that satisfies rule 2 or not. Okay, we want to check that as well. So numerical fields, yes, it can have something like a decimal value, it can have it can be a number, or like someone says whole number and all of that. It can be a percentage value, a lot of that. And this is important for you to look at. Okay, are you looking at a numerical field, something like a decimal, number, whole number kind of a format, or a percentage format? Discount can be in a percentage format, or it can be in this decimal kind of a format. That's fine. So all of that goes, but anything that you have in a numerical way is what we are looking at for now. Good. That's our first rule. I mean, you don't have to really consider this as something, but I want you to look at it because the second rule is going to be based on this. Okay, good. So is your sales column looking like that? Decimal values? Yes, we have those decimal values here. So it is a good candidate, and I can say that it's a measure. But in order to convey and confirm that this is a measure, I want to say that it satisfies rule number 2. And you can only remember rule number 2, that's fine, but I'm just going to give you this, okay? The rule number 2 that I have, and these are rules that I've created and I just understand it from this way. So the rule number 2 says, just go and apply a sum function on top of your column, okay? So I'm going to do a sum of the sales values. The ask here is, are you getting a meaningful result? Okay, this is the question that you have to ask. So if I go and do a sum on top of the sales column, if I add all of these values, am I going to get a meaningful result? Just say yes or no in the chat box. Just access the chat box quickly. Let me know, or just unmute yourself and talk to me. So if I do a sum of sales, sum of all of these values, am I getting a meaningful result? Yes or no? Let's say I get 2.3 million. Yeah. So 2.3 million in sales, that's what you get in this data set. I've worked with this a lot, so I know this. So 2.3 million is the total sales value coming out. Is this a meaningful result? What is it telling you? Yes, it's a meaningful result because it tells me the total sales that I've made so far. It could have been for like last few years, but total sales that I've made so far is 2.3 million in sales. Yes, that's a valid number. It's a meaningful value. Yes, I accept that. And rule 2 is satisfied. Are you getting this? So the question that you have to ask is, applying the sum function, is it giving you the meaningful result or not? That's what we have to ask. Okay. If it is not meaningful, it means the rule 2 fails. It means it's not a measure. What is it? It is a dimension. You have to classify that as a dimension and not as a measure. Getting this? Yes, very important. Let's go and go through this one by one, step by step. And I'll give you some examples of what's a measure, what's not a measure. We're going to do a lot of, discussions here. Okay, just let's look at quantity again. Quantity, just go and add all of these quantities. Is it going to give you meaningful result? Total quantities that I've sold so far? Yes, the big number that I get. Let's say I get about what, 18,000 here, something like that. And if that 18,000 is there, what is it? It's a meaningful result. Yes, because it tells me it's the total number of quantities, the number of products that I've sold so far. That's a meaningful result, and that's something pretty correct. Good. So just apply the sum function. Please don't apply any other aggregate function. The rule says apply the sum function. So I want you to apply the sum function. Is that clear? Yes. So apply the sum function, understand whether the results are meaningful or not. If the results are not meaningful, That's where I said rule number 2 will fail. And this is not going to be called as a measure. You'll have to call that always as a dimension. Making sense? Now I'm going to go, I'm just going to show you two different columns, and I want you to tell me whether it's a measure or dimension. If you want to unmute and talk to me, that's fine. If you want to put it in the chat, that's also fine. I'm looking at all of this. Let's do this, okay? I'm going to show you the rule, and the rule says sum, okay? Remember, apply only the sum function and then tell me whether the result that you're getting, that the number, the big number that you get, is it meaningful or not? If it is not meaningful, it's a dimension. If it is a meaningful number, it's a measure. Simple as that. Rules are clear, right? Let's go and do this. Okay, have a look. Let me show you the first column. I'm going to hide all of these columns. Let's just do this. I want you to tell me what is the row ID column. Is it a measure or is it a dimension? Measure or a dimension? Let me know.
It's a major.
It's a measure, okay?
Dimension.
Dimension,
It's a
hesitation.
dimension.
Okay. Dimension.
Dimension.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Who else says measure? Let me know. Okay, great. Let's go and understand what this is. So the rules are simple, rules are clear. Are you looking at a number, numerical value, numerical field? Yes. Rule number 1, satisfied. Very good. I don't want you to just look at a column and decide, and just don't judge by the rule 1 alone. Yes. So that is not something that I want you to do. I want you to go by rule 2. What does that say? Sum. And I want you to go and apply a sum function on top of it. Sum of row IDs. Is that going to give you a meaningful result? Let's say I get a big number. It's a very big number. Say, for example, is it going to have any meaning? Adding row numbers, adding row IDs. Am I going to make anything out of that big number? No. Is it meaningful? No. Let's say we have Aadhaar card numbers, right? Everyone is from India. Anyone from US, just understand SSN number. Let's say credit card number, debit card number. All of these numbers, if you add them, is it going to make sense? No. That's what I'm talking about. If you just go and add all of these numbers, if you apply some functions to this particular column, it's not going to be meaningful. Yes. So rule 2 will fail all the time if things are not correct. And hence, it's not a measure. I don't want you to jump into the conclusion right away just by looking at the column. I want you to apply the second rule. That's why I'm telling you sum function is very important. If you just apply the sum function, yes, it will tell you that it's not a measure, it's a dimension. Got it? You can do a count of it. Yes, count of row IDs are meaningful. Did I give you the rule that says count of row IDs? No. The rule clearly says apply a sum function. Are you getting a meaningful result? If yes, it's a measure. Otherwise, it's a dimension. Got it? Clear? Yes? Great. All right. Just a reminder, guys, if you have not already given the name and the number, please do so. My team is just waiting for that. And they'll just go ahead and add you to a group, and then we'll continue our discussions later that way. So let's see. Clear? Yes, making sense. Dimensions and measures, very important. And this is what your tool is going to do. When you load your data into Power BI, your tool is going to classify this as measures and dimensions. If there is any mistake in the detail being identified by the tool, who else who has to pitch in? It has to be you as a developer that you'll have to pitch in and say, hey, this is not correct and I want to rectify it, right? That's all something that goes on. Good. Okay. Can you just have a notice or notification here? Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so we just have a 15% discount going on if you would like to enroll for the course today. Yeah, just reach out to my team. Just get this, enrollment done if you really want to do it. They are available until 11 p.m. and you can very well do that. So the course fee is going to be 12,750, And that's what you get today. Just make sure if you're really doing that, that's the 15% discount that you'll get today. Okay. Reach out to my team. I'm just going to put that number here, or you can go back to our website and you can check out this number. Yes, 810-52-96858. Just go and reach out to this number. All right. Great. Just let us know and we will just take it forward from there. Okay, great. That was just information for you. All right, good. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's have a look at one more scenario here. Let's see. I'm not going to show you the rule right now. Let's go ahead and have this just looked at this particular column and understand. I don't want any mistakes today, this time. Let's see. What is this? Postal code. Is it a dimension or a measure?
Dimension.
Dimension. Everyone clear? Yes, everyone says dimension. Anyone saying measures? No, right? It's clear. So if you apply a sum function on top of something, a number column, and if you're not getting a meaningful result, simply there is one more category to this, and that's dimension. So you classify this as a dimension. Good. One more last example. Let's see who gets this right. Dates. What are dates? Is it a dimension? Is it a measure? What do you think?
Dimension.
Dimension. That's it.
Dimension.
Simple. Yes. Dimension. So it's again, even if you have date parts, let's say you are looking at year, month, quarter, month number, whatever that is, you can't add all of these things, right? Yes, you can find some differences between this date and this date. How many days it took for me to ship the product? That's a different thing. You can do some calculation, manipulation, all of that, but let's not look at those values as a measure, because they are not measure, they are not additive facts, additive details. So they are not measures. They are to be classified as a dimension. Good. So yes, everything is clear. Row ID is a dimension. Everything else here is a dimension, except for the last few fields where we have these numbers, and these numbers are additive. They can be applied with a sum function and you get a meaningful results, and hence it's a measure. Okay. So yeah, we'll discuss more when we get into some other topic. I'll tell you how Power BI treats it, and for that, what is going to be the impact and so on and so forth. But Power BI is going to do the right job. Most of the tools are going to do the right job 99% of the time. But if you feel something is not right, if you feel that, hey, this should have been a dimension, but it's a measure, you can pitch in and you can just go and say, hey, let's go and convert that into the other one. Okay, right. I'll tell you how that goes. And if you really need that, just remind me later and we'll just go talk about it. Got it clear? Important concept, very important. We'll just go through this. Great. All right, let's move on, guys. What I'll do is I'll load this data into Power BI. I may have done this before, but like I said, we'll just start fresh and we'll go with it. Okay, I'm going to open Power BI desktop. Just give me another 5 to 10 minutes. We'll just wrap up this session. I just want to go give you some details. We'll load this file and then we'll be done with this. Okay. All right. Here's my Power BI desktop. Let me just go ahead and open that. Let's see. It's going to come up on my other screen. It's opening on my other screen. I'll bring that up on this screen. Just give me a minute. All right. Let me bring this to this screen here. Good. Now, whenever you work with the desktop version, this is the desktop version. This is your local environment where you go build everything. And then you go and publish this report to Power BI service. Okay. Power BI service is going to be a cloud-based environment. So what you do is you create the reports in this desktop version and you go and publish this to a cloud-based version. Okay. We'll talk more about that later, but this is called as Power BI service. Okay. I'll get to that later. That's going to be the last 3 or 4 sessions. That's where we will go and discuss our Power BI service side of things. But yes, please. Okay. So, but we'll just go and work on the report, the desktop version all the time. Okay. Let's see. Good. So anything that you build here in this particular desktop version is called as a report. Okay. Remember this? Yes, there is a concept of a dashboard that will be coming up later, but we will not call anything that you do here as a dashboard. Dashboard is a separate concept. You'll have to do this somewhere else, not in this desktop version. So don't call anything here as dashboard. Dashboard is not going to be the right terminology. Always call anything that you do inside this Power BI desktop version as report. Got it? In a simple term, just remember that anything that you do here is called as a report. So let's go ahead and build a report. Let's go and start off with this report. And there are a lot of things that we'll have to do. Like I said, we'll have to connect to the data. We'll have to clean the data, transform the data, do some data modeling. The DAX comes into picture in a lot of cases. And then there is this visualization that will come into play. So a lot of things to do before we can really get to that reporting part of it. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Okay, yeah, so that's what I want you to understand. Let's go ahead and start off with this blank report, and I'll just click on this icon, and that takes me to an interface like this. So let's go ahead and understand this a little bit, and then we'll move forward. Okay. What you'll do is you go ahead and connect to your data set using this icon. We'll get started with this in a while. And once you take the data into Power BI, once you bring the data into Power BI, the data is going to be sitting here on the right-hand side. And there's going to be a lot of tables and columns and a lot of tables and columns that you'll be bringing in. So this is where your data, the tables, and the details will be coming and getting parked. Okay, and we'll just see how this goes. Good. And you have this particular canvas here, right? So this canvas that you see, I'm just going to draw this way, canvas. This is what you're looking at right now. And this is a view. We call this view as a report view. Okay, sorry for that. Report view. All right, you're looking at something. This is where you'll be building the report. So you'll be taking these visualizations, you'll be putting it into this canvas, and you will be building an entire view here. Okay, so that is why this is called as a report view. You're going to build this report, and this is a report view. Okay. Now these icons that you see on the left hand side, can you see this? These icons, they are also called as views. I'll get into that one by one. So let's go and do this. Okay, so the first icon, that's where you are currently, is called as the report view. Got it? So this is where we are already there. So this canvas is what is called as a report view. Good. The second icon is called as a table view. This used to be called as data view, but this has changed and it's called as a table view. Got it? Good. Let's go through the next one. The next icon is called as the model view. This is where the data modeling goes on, and we'll talk more about it in our, let's say, fifth, sixth session, somewhere like that. 5 to 6 sessions left before we can discuss all of that. So we'll talk more about data modeling, and that is our data modeling view. The fourth icon here was just recently added. This is not really important, and we will not go through this view because it's a different view altogether. The first three views are what you'll be toggling between a lot. You'll be just going in and toggling between these three views a lot. But the fourth one is not really required for you. I would say this is for advanced users, and let's not go and get into this and confuse ourselves. So let's just keep this aside. But there used to be a tool called as DAX Studio. Okay. There used to be a tool called as DAX Studio. And that DAX Studio was used to, take this data model into DAX Studio and then perform some analysis on top of how the DAX is all performing. Okay. So this view is called as a DAX query view now. All right. And that's nothing but that integration of DAX Studio features into Power BI. So they don't have to go to a different tool altogether. That information is all built in now, and they can just go and do it. So this is for advanced users who wants to understand how queries are being performed, what's happening behind the scenes, and do some optimization for that. This is, again, like I said, the advanced ways of working. So let's not get into it. We will be only talking about the report view, table view, and model view. And this is the only view that you should go with and toggle between a lot. And that's more than enough. If you really want, I can give you some glimpse of this query view. But like I said, it's going to be way too much advanced. I don't want to do that. Okay. Yeah. Good. Let's just understand it from that perspective. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and move on. Let me just quickly load the data into Power BI and I'll show you how to do this. And with that, we'll wrap up the session. We'll continue from where we are leaving today, from tomorrow again. And this is going to be a continuous, classes. So sessions are going to be on everyday basis. until and unless I'm engaged with some other demos or something else, I'll let you know in advance. So the sessions are going to be all continuous every single day, weekdays only. So we'll see. And based on the participants' interest, if there are participants for morning session as well, if they are willing to do that, and or evening, so we can go and do that way. We'll let you know. Okay, for now, let's go and keep this way. We'll have the session tomorrow evening again, and we'll go through this. Okay, great. Let's just do this. I'm going to load the data into this tool. And where is our data lying? That's our first question. Where is our data lying? The data lies in an Excel file. Yes, this is an Excel file, and this is where the data is lying. Let's go and load this data into Power BI. Okay, let's go back. The tool, Power BI tool, wants to know where is your data coming from. So the very first question is that where is your data? You understand that, and you have to go through the right connector to get connected to your data set. Okay, that's again very important. So I cannot have my data in an Excel file, and I can't go ahead and say, hey, that is a CSV file or a text file or an HTML file. No, I cannot go with different connectors like that. You have to tell Power BI, and it's going to look for those Excel files if it is an Excel file. If it is a database, it's going to look for that database and all of that in your machine, right? So that's how things are going to work. So here is how you do this. There is this icon here that says, hey, import the data from Excel. Remember, Excel is a good, nice, and widely used data source, right? So everywhere, everyone is using Excel. So you have different options to go and get started with Excel as a data source. You can do that, or you can click on this get data drop down. There is a small drop down there. You can just click on it. You'll still get, hey, do you want to load it from Excel? Yes, I may want to load it from Excel, but let me just go to this. Let's see. I want to go and click on more, or you can also click on this icon alone. Both of them do the same thing. Either click on more or click on the icon. Both of them do the same thing. So if I click on this more option, it's going to bring up a data dialog box, get data dialog box. And you'll see that this has huge list of connectors through which we can connect to the right data sources and we can bring the data. Okay. Let's say your data lies in a SQL Server database. Let's say it's lying in an Oracle database, MySQL database, or maybe a text or a CSV, Excel file, whatnot, JSON file, XML, blah, blah, blah. All of these are going to be different connectors through which you'll have to go through and find where your data lies. In this case, it's going to be Excel workbook. We'll get to that and we'll connect to that. Got it? So if you just scroll down a little bit, it's going to have all the Azure related data sources. It's going to be having every single data source that you can think of, you can connect to, and you can go with all of that. Okay. Yeah, just go through this, install the software for free. Just go through this list and understand what you can go ahead and do. Okay. The data should lie in one of these different data sources, and we will go and fetch that from there. Okay. Microsoft is adding a lot more to this list, and every single day here and there, look at this, there is some beta testing going on. There are a lot of, things coming in. So you need to go and say, where is your data source? And based on that, you'll have to get to that. Okay. All right, let's quickly do this. We'll talk more about this data set, and there are going to be some anomalies that you'll see when you load this data, even from that sample superstores file. We'll talk more about it later, but let's just go and quickly connect to this and we get done with this particular session. So I'm going to click on Excel workbook. That's going to be our data source. I'll say connect. And I have to point it to the file where it is. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. It's going to be on my dataset folder, and that's my file. Okay, I'll share these files with you at the end of the session, so no worries. Otherwise, you can always go and Google it, find it, and then load it. Okay. All right, sample superstore is what I have. I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to say, let's open that in Power BI. Yes, let's go and do that. It's just going to look at that file, connect to that file, load that data into Power BI. That's what is going to happen. So we get to another window called as navigator window. And it's trying to ask me, okay, what is the sheet that you want to go and load? There are 3 sheets that it finds, and that is how it is. What is the sheet that you want to load? I'm going to load only the orders table. So I'm going to just check that box. We'll discuss more about this later. But I want you to have a look at the data that you get as a preview here. Just go through this, just scan through this information very quickly. We'll deep dive into this later as well. So just let's see. So this data looks good, yeah, right? So row ID is looking like a row ID, order ID looks like an order ID, order date, every single column is just looking fine. I don't see any issues with the headers. Sometimes the headers are all off, or maybe your values are kind of shifting one column. All of that can happen. So this is going to be a good, nice way to understand whether you have any discrepancies with your data or not. The data that is coming in, do you see some anomalies with that? So all of that can be just done. And if I just scroll through all of this, the last few columns were sales, quantity, discount, and profit. I see all of that just properly coming in nice and neat. So I'll just go and load it. Okay. So remember to check the boxes. Checking the box tells Power BI which table, which sheet you want to go and load. And I will just go and hit that load button. That's all. Got it? So check this box and then load it. For now, I'm just going to do orders table for now. I'm just going to load it. Let's see. Load, done. It's going to just look at that information, connect to that orders table, and then try to load all of that into Power BI. Okay, whatever comes in is going to be called as a table. So if I'm using this terminologies, table or sheets interchangeably, I very well can do that. Look at that. We have got this orders table loaded here. If I expand this, click on that arrow, it's going to give you all the list of columns here. Okay, and the columns are all going to be sorted in the alphabetical order from A to Z, and it's going to be easier for you to get to that. It's not the source order, it's the alphabetical order that goes on here, and that's how things work. Got it? So we have got our data loaded into the data pane, into Power BI. That's what I want you to understand. Let's go and look at these two icons and understand what has gone into this. So this is the report view, the first icon. We did not create any report. We don't have any visualizations yet. We'll do that later. But let's go look at the second and third icon. The second icon is called as a table view, and the third one is called as a model view. We just have one table, remember? Let's go to table view. It's going to give you a tabular view of this data. Look at that. Got it? Orders table. And this is the tabular view of this data. And if you look at this view, it's going to be more of a the exact same column order that you saw in your data source. Yes. So row ID, order date. If I go back, what happens? All of the same column and the order of the column is also the same. That's what we have. Good. We are looking at the same data. Look at that, 10,081 rows. How many rows do we have here? 10,081 if you exclude the header. Okay. So that's pretty good. That's nice. Let's go back to this one, this third icon here. That's the model view. So what happens is you'll be bringing in a lot of tables, and tables will come like this in this kind of a format. And then you can relate these tables together. Okay. And that's what we call as data model. And that's something that we'll go and learn and understand. And we'll go through those details later. Okay. Is this making sense? All of this? So we have just connected through our, option here, the Excel workbook or whatnot, pointed to the file, load it, open it and load it. And that will be just coming into this particular section here. And we just saw the tabular views, and those are all the different things that I want you to understand for now. Okay. We'll deep dive into those other sheets tomorrow. That is going to have some discrepancies. You can try that, and we'll just go ahead and, just finish it off here. Any questions, guys? Any questions? I'm just going to save this. The saved file is going to be saved as PBIX. That's the extension that you get for Power BI files. Okay, PBIX. And I'm just going to save this in this name. Let's just do that. Say save, and we'll just continue from here tomorrow. Any questions from you, any one of you? It can be based on what we have just discussed. It can be based on anything else. Any clarifications, any doubts regarding the course or course content? I would just also remind you again to just leave your numbers, and my team will reach out to you. So just let us know if you have any questions, and we can take it up. Anything,
Hi,
anyone?
Amber.
Yes.
I have one question.
Mhm.
Is this course will be helpful for Power BI certification also?
Yes. So whatever I cover, I want you to understand that this course is going to cover all that you need for certification. Yes. But I would like you to take, the certification after some time, maybe a month's practice. And after that, because you can take it immediately, but the way the question papers are or all scheduled or set up is it is going to be a scenario based question, and you need to understand the scenario. There will be a big paragraph given. The question will be very simple, very small, but you need to understand that scenario. So in order to understand the scenario, I want you to have that kind of a background and understanding and kind of an exposure and experience with the tool. So yes, the answer is yes, this course is going to help you with that certification, but I want you to practice a little bit and then take that certification. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Krish, I'm having a few questions from my side.
Right.
So
Yes,
for
please.
the next coming few days, we are having classes only on evening.
I'll confirm with my team, and based on the the participants' interest for the morning batch, I'll also connect and go through the same topic tomorrow morning if there are people interested. We'll just see and we'll let you know. Yes, but for now, let's just keep
Okay.
this for evening for now. Yeah.
Okay. And in real time, what are the different tools we are going to use, like BI for sure, and SQL Server, and what
Mhm.
are the other tools we are going to use in real time?
No, I would say only Power BI and SQL most of the time, on Excel for some easy copy paste and validation of data. But it depends on the project. Okay, we can also connect to something called as Power Automate. There are Power tools available to you. There is something called Power Automate. There is something called Power Apps. So these are not really important. But if you look at these icons here, see this? Power Automate for Power BI, Power Apps for Power BI. So these are some other tools with which you may want to integrate a few things. Okay, so those may come into picture, but I would say it's hardly like 5 to 10% of the organization use it. They don't not every organization use it, but that's again something that you may want to do. Yeah, and there can be different deployment mechanisms. Someone want to have deployment done in SharePoint. Someone want to have it published in the Power BI service. So it can differ based on the project, but I would say tool wise, it's just going to be Power BI, SQL, Excel, and like I said, these tools if they are really required, Power Apps and Power Automate. Yeah.
And Tableau is also a data visualization tool, right? So learning Tableau will help to for better job search, or only Power BI is enough for as of now? I mean, based
Power
on today's job scenario.
Yes, Power BI has a great demand right now. Tableau's demand is slightly fading away. Tableau was a very good tool. It still is a very good tool with respect to data visualization. I work on that. I really, kind of train and go with all of that. But the demand for Tableau developers is diminishing. The demand for Power BI developers is increasing. That's what I would say. Yes, having both of this in hand and in your belt is going to be very helpful, because you can play around with what path you want to choose. If you're not getting, the Power BI job offerings clicked, you can definitely take that Tableau route, and it's all the same for Tableau as well. So no issues with that. So that's how it is. Okay. So, all right, just looking
So
at a
sorry for so many questions.
no
So
problem.
for yeah, today job market, whatever they are looking for, I mean, people, are they looking for with the both combination like Power BI and Tableau, or only Power BI is okay? I mean, what kind of people they are looking for with the both the skills, or only single skill?
And again, it is always based on how the organization is doing things. So a lot of people are transitioning from Tableau to Power BI, right? Let's say they have worked and
Mhm.
built so many reports in Tableau, and today Microsoft offers them a cheaper and other nice good features. They are transitioning from Tableau to this one. So there can be some projects, migration projects, where you may want to run, you may want to work, and that is a possibility. If that is the case, you need to have both knowledges, but I don't see all of that. It's just a 50-50 chance that there is an organization transitioning from different things. That I've talked about something called as click view and click sense. Okay, so these are also some old tools. There is a company called Click, and they have two products. One is called as Click View, and the other is called as a Click Sense. Okay, so these are also some old tools from which people are transitioning towards Power BI. So I don't say it's always only Tableau. There are different tools from where people are migrating, and if you want to have or want to get into that kind of a role, you need to have all these tools knowledge. Like I said, not everything can be learned by everyone, and you'll have a lot of very very short span in doing all of this. So don't worry, these tools are very easy, pretty easy. If you look at that code, if you look at those details, it's going to be pretty easy. So you don't have to really worry about it. You can always say yes, I can work on that. I'll really go and learn all of that and quickly kind of understand and get into those kind of an ecosystem. So you can just say yes and be positive about those things in interview, and you can always crack those interviews. So these tools are not big and difficult tools, pretty similar like Power BI, but they have their own interfaces, they have their own learning curve, but it's going to be very simple. Within a week's time, you will always understand what's going on, and you can always take that up. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And what of the course we are I mean, you are providing with how many years of experience that we can give it a try? Like 2 years, 3 years, it will be sufficient for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, I would say start off with 2 years at least. 1 year is also okay, but there is a very little opening for 1 year candidates. So at least 1.5 years, 2 years should be good enough. Anything more than that, and if you can perform on that level in the interview, and if you're confident that you know a lot about Power BI, you can perform with 2.5 years of experience in interview, then it is okay to go with that. But anything less than that, I mean, there are lesser job openings for those freshers or 1 year level candidates, but that's what I want you to look at. Yes.
Oh, okay, Amrish. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no problem. Okay, I just have an update from my team. It seems we don't have a session tomorrow. We'll do this in the day after tomorrow. So yeah, just an final note. We'll keep you posted on all of this. You have been added to the group if you are part of the course. So if you already enrolled for the course, you will be getting notified. But just for these other people who have joined, and we'll just do this. All right. Anything else? Anyone? Okay, great. If not, yes, let's wrap up the session here, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on and how we'll go ahead and take it forward. But yes, your voices are heard, and we'll just continue to do so. We have had very little participants. We have taken the course forward. We have completed 5 batches in the last 5 months. Okay, we have done that. So yeah, we'll just get that sorted out as soon as possible, and we'll kind of take it forward. Apologies from our side for the delay, but we had a lot of things going on. That's the reason. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for your time and patience and understanding. Thank you so much. I'll connect back with you in the next session, and we'll go over the next topics in the next session. I'll share all of these details with you, so you can just check out the LMS portal and you can have all of these things kind of looked at. Yeah. Thanks everyone for your time. Thank you. Bye bye. See you.
Thank you, Amrish.
Thank you.